Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin momentarily. Please find your seats. Thank you. The commander of the Joint Warfare Center, Major General Ruprecht von Butler. Welcome to the memorial ceremony in honor of Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom. You may be seated. We begin with an awards presentation to honor Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom's faithful service to his country. Captain Pastelniak will present the Legion of Merit, and First Sergeant Ujoa Gonzalez will present the Defense Meritorious Service Medal to Mrs. Miriam Halstrom. The Legion of Merit and the Defense Meritorious Service Medal are two of the highest honors the U.S. military gives, recognizing people whose leadership and achievements have had an extraordinary and impactful, measurable impact. The Legion of Merit is being awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom for exceptionally meritorious service as an aviation officer. Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom's outstanding leadership and dedication in both Army and joint assignments greatly enhanced operational effectiveness, unit readiness, and interoperability. Over a 26-year career, he expertly led complex aviation operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, served with distinction as a commander and executive officer, and played a pivotal role at the Joint Warfare Center in advancing multinational planning and training. His unwavering commitment improved mission readiness and quality of life across the United States Army and its North Atlantic Treaty Organization partners. His unwavering devotion to duty, excellence in Army aviation, and lasting contributions to the nation's defense reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army, and the United States of America. From 1 June 1999 through 2 November 2025, signed Christopher T. Donahue, General, USA Commanding General. I will now announce the Defense Meritorious Service Medal. Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom, United States Army, distinguished himself by outstanding meritorious service while serving as a branch head training team leader at the Joint Warfare Center, Stavanger, Norway, from May 2021 to November 2025. During this period, Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom distinguished himself through exceptional performance and dedication in support of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's collective defense mission, as a critical planner and controller for multiple high-visibility North Atlantic Treaty Organization exercises, including Steadfast Deterrence, Steadfast Jupiter, and Steadfast Defender. Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom was instrumental in enhancing the operational readiness and interoperability of the Allied Command, demonstrating superior technical expertise and leadership. He led coordination among multinational staff, ensuring seamless collaboration across the land, air, maritime, cyber, and space domains, while expertly synchronizing over 25 training events within the North Atlantic Treaty Organization exercise program of work. Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom's groundbreaking approach to scenario development, mentorship of allied officers, and commitment to improving interoperability directly contributed to the refinement of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's operational doctrine and warfare development initiatives. Through innovative scenario design and expert mentorship of multinational staff, Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom improved the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's capacity to deter and respond to emerging threats. In the dedication of service to his country and through his distinctive accomplishments, Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom reflected great credit upon himself, the United States Army, and the Department of Defense. Signed, Alexis G. Grunovich, General, Supreme Allied Commander, Europe. Please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the national anthems. I invite you to bow your heads with me as I pray. O God, source of strength and comfort, we gather to honor a life of service and sacrifice. Grant peace to those who mourn, perseverance to those who serve, and a lasting remembrance of the one we honor today. May Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom's legacy of selfless service, loyalty, and love inspire us, and may all who grieve today feel your presence and comforting support. Amen. Please be seated. I'd like to invite Major General Ruprecht von Butler to provide a tribute in honor of Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom.
Dear Miriam, dear family members of Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom, friends and colleagues. Sometimes it's easy to be the commander of the Joint Warfare Center with a fantastic team around me, but sometimes it's been very difficult. Today is one of the very difficult days as we are here together in the memorial service for Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom. We've lost a husband, a father, a son, a brother in arms, and a wonderful member of our JWC team. I met Eric 14 months ago for the first time, just as I arrived here at the Joint Warfare Center. When you arrive new in office, there's obviously a lot of people you are meeting for the first time. But I remember so well when I met Eric for the first time, because Eric was simply different. He was Eric. Miriam, your husband was a light to all of us. His sense of humor was so incredible. I can picture him now with that familiar, genuine smile, that one that reached your eyes and made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. His positivity was not just passive, he was always an active force, and he understood it so well using it. Eric carried us through exercises and often very long planning sessions and difficult times, but his positivity made it so easy. When he himself arrived here at the JWC, he didn't just join a team. Everybody is saying this here. He was simply the definition in person of a positive member. Also, his technical expertise was fantastic, no doubt, but it was more his personal leadership style which made the difference. He understood that joint warfare is about people, and he invested in every people he met. He was a connector, a bridge builder, and simply a truly fine officer. But the man we knew at the JWC was the same man who rushed home to his family, to you, Miriam, and the kids. His professional success, his accomplishment, this all is nothing in comparison to the love he had for you, Miriam, and your two amazing kids, Adele and Copper. Miriam, you were his partner, his anchor, and his greatest adventure. He talked about you with such admiration, and his life with you was simply his masterpiece. No words can soften the unfairness of this moment, but please know that every heart here is with you. And we are here to mourn Eric, yes, of course, but more importantly, we just celebrate the fantastic person he was. The greatest honor of his life was being a father. He may have been an army colonel to the world, but to you he was simply dead. He will always be watching over the kids, guiding you and cheering you on. The children's happiness was the core of his world. There are representatives here among us from the International School in Stavanger, but also from the first Stavanger Scout Group in recognition of Eric's invaluable service and commitment to the Scout and International family here in Stavanger. Eric was a beaver leader and a cub leader, and in so inspired so many young people. Around a year ago, I've learned about Eric's illness, and I remember very well, it was at the end of one of these famous meetings we had in Dagger exercise, and then we two went into a corner, and I asked him what it is about. The news was shocking for him, yes, and of course for the whole family, as you were planning a future here together in Norway. But it would not have been Eric if he had not stayed positive. I was so impressed to observe how he continued to be engaged with us, and he reacted positively. It was Eric. This was incredible, a fantastic example, and it showed so well his enormous positive character. When the news of his cancer and the subsequent surgery came, he faced this with the same strong determination and grace he applied to every challenge. But life is sometimes not fair. Our hope now that the love poured into the world in his service, in his friendship, and more profoundly in his family will be the foundation that keeps us all steady in the coming years. And I'm convinced that this will come true. Eric taught us, all of us, to approach life with courage and grace. He will be deeply missed here at the JWC, forever loved, never forgotten, and the JWC family has really lost a member. We will honor his memory by carrying his positive spirit forward. Rest in peace, Eric. Godspeed. And I'm not in a position to give him a commander's coin, unfortunately. But Miriam, I can give you a commander's coin and another two, which I would like to carry forward to your two kids. You all have deserved this.
Ladies and gentlemen, family, friends, and fellow warriors, before I give my formal comments, I just want to acknowledge and thank the AF North team, the 426th, and all in the JWC who worked hard to make this a memorial ceremony for you and your family, Miriam. We gather here today with hearts heavy, united in grief, but also united in gratitude for the life and service of Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom. 2 weeks ago, we lost a husband, a father, a son, a friend, and a leader whose presence made our Joint Warfare Center community stronger and every one of us better. In the days since, many of us have reflected on what he brought to this team. What defined Eric was not a specific job title or qualification, but his character. He led without fanfare, he supported others without being asked, and he carried himself with a quiet dignity that set the tone for those around him. He listened, he cared, and he made people feel valued. Teams worked better when he was a part of them. Challenges felt more manageable when he was involved. And every interaction, large or small, reflected the genuine, good-hearted person he was. He carried himself with that quiet confidence we admire in our very best officers and leaders. Decisive, but never dismissive. Strong, but never unkind. Committed, but never self-centered. He understood that leadership is not about the authority one is given, but the trust one earns. Even in the complex multinational setting that is the Joint Warfare Center, surrounded by allies, partners, and cultures from across the alliance, Eric stood out. Not because he sought attention, but because people gravitated toward him. He listened, he learned, he respected the perspectives of others. He built rapport effortlessly, and he gave his best to a mission that demands creativity, focus, and cooperation. That is the mark of a true professional. A further mark of his impact is the number of condolence messages I have received as a senior U.S. person here in the Joint Warfare Center on behalf of Eric's family, from admirals and generals across the NATO alliance, and from senior leaders and teammates across our multinational community. Each message speaks not only of his professionalism, but of his kindness, humility, and the respect he earned throughout his career. But as extraordinary as Eric was in uniform, his greatest legacy is in the people he loved most, Miriam, Adele, and Cooper. Miriam, you were his partner and his grounding force. Those who served with Eric know that he drew strength from you. In every decision, every assignment, every deployment, you were part of the fabric of his life. Adele and Cooper, your dad loved you with a depth that words cannot capture. He spoke about you with me frequently. We talked about your accomplishments, your personalities, your progress in school, the moments that made him proud. I want you to know that your father was a hero, not only because he wore the uniform of this nation, but because he lived every day guided by love, by honor, and by devotion to you. When someone like Eric leaves us so suddenly, we feel that loss in a profound and disorienting way. But in that grief, there is also an undeniable truth. Grief is the price we pay for having known someone remarkable. Eric lived with purpose, and he served with honor. That is a legacy no tragedy can erase. To Miriam, Adele, and Cooper, we cannot fill the space Eric leaves behind. No words can. But we can promise you this: you will never walk alone. We will always be there for you. Eric served in a profession that believes in family and loyalty and in taking care of one another. We will stand with you. We will support you. And we will honor Eric by carrying forward the values he lived every day: courage, humility, devotion to service, and devotion to family. To the service members, civilians, family, and friends who had the privilege of knowing him, Let us carry Eric's example with us. Let us lead the way he did, with strength and kindness, with confidence and with empathy, with excellence and with humility. Let us strive to be the kind of leaders, teammates, and human beings that Eric believed in. Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom flew high in this life, higher than most, and he did so with dignity, with grace, and with unwavering love for the people he cherished. May we live lives worthy of the gift of his friendship, his leadership, and his service. May God bless Eric, may he comfort his family, and may he grant all of us the strength to carry his legacy forward. Forward.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. First, just want to say to Miriam, Mark, Yuda, Farina, and especially to Adele and Cooper, sorry for your loss. Eric is a great husband. He's a great son, great brother. I know he's an amazing father. He always spoke about his family and made them a priority. And I'm sorry to everyone in here for our loss. We all know Eric is truly an amazing person who makes lasting impressions. He's an amazing friend to all of us. He's an incredible person who is in our hearts and is meaningful in our lives. And I know this because whenever I asked anyone to help support getting this memorial service set up or anything else, no one hesitated. No one asked why. They just said, yes, what else can I do? And Eric, he always kept us cool, no matter how tough or difficult times became. He never displayed frustration and anger. He would share with me many of the difficulties that he was going through, especially in the past year. A lot of us would probably become very angry, unprofessional, might even find ways to not work because we need some time alone to collect our thoughts, but not Eric. He just kept on coming in, and he smiled all the time. He was always motivated. Didn't really surprise me, though, that he remained calm and positive, that he was always patient. He always said, let's see how this plays out. Never once did he want to miss work because something became difficult. He just kept working, and he requested to go on TDY to keep supporting the mission. While Eric's family was always a priority, he still put work first. He always talked about being with his family. He shared many stories, all the RV trips around Europe, driving to Costco in Stockholm over a weekend to go grocery shopping. But it wasn't about buying groceries at Costco. And he made it clear. It was about the journey, getting there and coming back because he was with the family. They would stay overnight somewhere in the RV, and they were together. And that's what he really emphasized was the important part of that. Eric demonstrated to Adele and Cooper what a great husband is, what a great father is. He was able to balance work and the family life. And honestly, sometimes I think he was a borderline workaholic because on numerous occasions he would stay here working past normal duty hours. He wanted to ensure that the JWC was instrumental in the NATO's mission to deter adversaries. He really lived the mission first, people always. He made NATO better. He's well known in the military and NATO community, which is very evident because he was always requested by name to come on these different events and support different planning activities. He's a hero and a role model. that everybody should be proud of. He sets the example. And even today I was presented with a challenge of my own, and I talked to Miriam, and she said to me, "What would Eric do? Just relax. Let's see how things work out. It'll be okay." And with that, I think to honor him, we should all follow that example. We should keep calm and collected when our times are tough. And let's always see how things play out and find that silver lining like Eric would. Thank you. God bless.
Good afternoon. Major General Von Butler, Mrs. Von Butler, Brigadier General Adams, Colonel Steichen, it's an honor to follow such gentlemen as yourselves. Miriam and family, I am so sorry. Distinguished guests, members and teammates of the Joint Warfare Center and Allied Forces North Battalion, friends and family of Colonel Halstrom, thank you all for coming. This afternoon we gather to do one of the more challenging aspects of our profession, celebrating and memorializing the life and service of one of our own. We do this not just to honor him in his passing, but to celebrate who he was in life, as an officer, a soldier, a husband, a father, and a friend to so very many. Miriam, I want to express again my deepest condolences for losing your husband, and to Adele and Cooper for the loss of their father. Thank you for being here today and sharing your extended family with ours. We're honored by all of you. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to talk with Eric's vast array of friends and fellow soldiers and hear more examples of the impact he has had on all of us. Eric served as a teammate here at JWC for the past 4.5 years, and for nearly 8 years prior to that in Germany, a total of over 12 straight years assigned within Europe. For a career spanning nearly 3 decades, that included 4 combat rotations, that's an incredible feat. You will be hard-pressed to find an officer more dedicated to helping preserve the security of our NATO allies and partners than Eric. Having only recently joined the command myself, I did not have the privilege of knowing or working with Eric long, but in our conversations, he quickly impressed upon me his dedication and resolve, both continuing to fight and to work. He never asked anything of me except support and advocacy, and I hope I could give him that. In speaking with others, they reflect and share their experiences of his attention to detail, his exceptional intellect, his humor, and his love of his family. As his battalion commander, I am proud to know that he was surrounded by a loving family, a close community, and comrades in arms throughout our joint and multinational force with whom he was so dearly loved and appreciated. Miriam, you and your family will forever be connected to the Allied Forces North Battalion and the Joint Warfare Center. You will always be family. Although Eric leaves us far too soon, his impact on our unit is evident in all of us today. You can see it in the grief displayed by his friends and teammates. You can hear it in the stories told about him and feel it in the presence of everyone here at his memorial ceremony. In this time of mourning and grief, we can also find time to reflect on Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom, who he was, and how we can continue to carry the torch given to us and carry on in his name. Thank you all.
on the dagger exercise, and from there we worked very close. This came at a time when the security situation in Europe had changed much and to the worse, and the alliance changed too. Efforts to improve our defense to face these challenges were brought forward. This new defense system included a high readiness force available directly to SACEUR. And this is the Allied Reaction Force. And, our job was to help integrate that force, to enable allies to work together. Remember, we are 32 nations. All this came at a time with a lot of change in the alliance, which of course also added to our challenge. But this is also where Eric was an important and key player. Eric had a team here, the scenario team. It was a core team, but also a wider one, involving the wider community of the JWC and that of NATO. And I know everybody had a good time with Eric. This I can also tell by the number of people coming to pay their respects at his desk, now dedicated to his memory. We loved being on his team, and for a number of reasons. First of all, we had a good time. We had a cheerful, brilliant atmosphere, but also we felt we created something of value. We felt we were striving for the security of our nations, and Eric was instrumental in those efforts. His experience, his knowledge, his personality, all this put him in the position to lead. And he pointed out the direction to the rest of the NATO community out there on this project of ours. I will always associate Eric with commitment, be it for family, friends, work, or country. I sometimes wonder where he got the energy from. We saw him here at work, and he was always in command of his responsibilities and beyond. But also how we would dash out, for some community activity. It could be organizing the scouts or just preparing for friends and family, to have a good time. He never sat idle. I also traveled to activities and meeting with Eric, and I still see him there, be it in Belgium or Italy, always in the middle, presenting, explaining, engaging in the corridors, proposing and convincing, finding solutions. That is what he did. And he always did so with humor and a smile. Everybody out there knew Eric. With confidence and credibility, he gained everybody else's confidence, their respect, and their friendship. I guess the right word is trust. We trusted him. Trust in him as a person and in the ways he was taking us professionally. Eric has a remarkable military career. He spent years in operations in some of the most difficult places in this world. And we at the JWC and in NATO came to benefit from him and all this experience as he was crafting solutions and keeping our work on track while maintaining support of the wider community we had out there. And I think that creative and positive atmosphere, that surrounded him, it affects everyone and make people do their best and help people agree. It's so constructive. I believe a better term is that of excellent leadership. We share your grief. The loss of Eric is a major loss to us all, and all our thoughts and sympathies now with you, Miriam, and the family. We've lost a dear friend and colleague, and an accomplished and highly decorated soldier. We are proud of him, and he made us proud of being on this team. He will be deeply missed. Rest in peace, dear friend.
A reading from Isaiah chapter 61, verses 1 through 3. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor, to comfort all who mourn, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor.
We have heard the tributes, the memories, the laughter, and the joy of a well-lived life. Each story reminds us of who Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom was, a person of honor, of service, and of deep love for others. Now, before we render the final honors, we pause to let both grief and gratitude have their place in our hearts. The prophet Isaiah spoke to a people who knew loss, and he offered them a promise that broken hearts could be bound up, that those who mourn would be comforted, and that beauty can rise from the ashes. Today, those ancient words are for us. We honor not just Eric Halstrom's service, but also the character that guided it, love for country and the greater good, a spirit of service and sacrifice, a commitment to peace and the security for all nations. In serving others, Eric reminded us of the ideals we strive to live by in our own vocations. He was a leader at the Joint Warfare Center, a guiding presence in the Stavanger community, and deeply loved by all who served alongside him. His leadership inspired those around him, and the bonds he forged with his fellow soldiers will endure long after this day. As we reflect today, let us honor his legacy most fully by living the same life of selfless service, by lifting up one another in times of sorrow, and by cherishing the freedoms he defended. And today we hold especially dear in our hearts his beloved wife Miriam and their two children Adele and Cooper. I pray you feel the love and support of all who surround you in this moment, and may you find comfort in the memory of a life lived with honor, integrity, and devotion. For some, Isaiah's prophetic words echo a faith that reminds us that God is close to the brokenhearted and that death does not have the final word. For others, these words speak to something that we all know, that love, courage, and service leave a mark that time and death cannot erase. Isaiah's image of a crown of beauty instead of ashes does not mean that our sorrow disappears. It means that the memory of his life, the friendship, the kindness, the strength, will in time shine brighter than the grief we feel today. As we prepare for the final roll call and taps, we do so with reverence. These honors are more than tradition. They are a final salute, a sacred acknowledgement that this service member's duty has been faithfully carried out, his mission complete. Today, we remember that the spirit of service unites us all across uniforms, across faiths, across generations. And as we carry his memory forward, may we find comfort in knowing that while Eric Halstrom's watch has ended, the light of his life continues on in our hearts. Would you bow your heads with me for a moment of prayer and reflection? Eternal God, we come before you today in remembrance of Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom and in gratitude for the life of service that he so well lived. Your word in Isaiah reminds us that you come to bind up the brokenhearted, to comfort all who mourn, and to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. Lord, in this moment of loss, we ask you to fulfill that promise. Surround his family, friends, and the soldiers of the JWC with your comfort and peace. Lift the heaviness of grief, and let your hearts be strengthened by the assurance of your presence. Amen. I invite you to receive the benediction. May we go from this place carrying the memory of a life lived with honor and integrity. May the love shared with family and friends strengthen those who mourn. May the example of service inspire us to acts of kindness and loyalty in our own lives. May peace be with us, hope sustain us, and gratitude guide us now and always.
Here, First Sergeant.
Staff Sergeant Nunez Green.
Here, First Sergeant.
Corporal Zill.
Here, First Sergeant.
Lieutenant Colonel Halstrom. Lieutenant Colonel Eric Halstrom. Lieutenant Colonel Eric E. Halstrom.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. The official party, family members, and senior leaders will pay their final respects. It is tradition to approach the memorial stand, render a salute lasting 3 seconds, place a token or momentum at the foot of the stand if desired, and then depart. You may wait to come forward as directed by the ushers to pay your final respects in like manner. Alternatively, you may depart in reverence and silence after the official party, family members, and senior leaders have exited the auditorium.
Sergeant.